Hey guys, it's Teaksy here. Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video guys, I am going to be giving you my honest XDefiant kind of overview so far and just sharing my thoughts and opinion on the game. Just sort of going through some of the things I've liked, some of the things maybe I haven't liked that possibly need changing, and just, generally giving you guys kind of an understanding of how I'm finding this game. And then towards the end of the video, I will, for those of you that are regular viewers, just let you know what my plans are for content moving forwards in terms of XDefiant. So, firstly, the elephant in the room, I feel like we need to just touch on it very, very quickly. Is XDefiant the Call of Duty killer? Well, quite simply, no it isn't. But I think everybody kind of knew that, right, before the game released. Call of Duty, despite the fact that it's got a lot of hate over the last 4 or 5 years, is still an incredibly huge franchise, which I don't think is going anywhere. And obviously there's a lot of hype at the moment around Black Ops 6. However, I think XDefiant needs to be looked at as its own game, right? We shouldn't really be making comparisons to Call of Duty. I think it's completely unfair. I've been having a lot of fun on XDefiant, but I don't see it as kind of a Call of Duty replacement, right? I just see it as an alternative. So I kind of wanted to touch on that. I think it's important to look at XDefiant as its own game when you're judging it. So I think if you're trying to compare it to Call of Duty, and it's just not fair in my opinion when you look at them together. So in terms of things I've liked, well, to start with, the game is free to play, right? I think that's a huge thing out of the gate. Whenever a game's free to play, it takes that pressure off, right? You don't have to purchase it. It's just, it gives you something you can try. If you don't like it, all it's cost you is maybe the time it's taken to download, right? I think, had I had to pay for XDefiant, I probably would have done, but there would have been the kind of risk there as to, whether or not I would like it. So I think the fact it's free to play is obviously a huge thing to start with. The welcome playlist, I thought this was actually a really cool thing that they added to the game. Basically, from I think level 1 up to level 25, you could play in a welcome playlist that had skill-based matchmaking in, but it generally didn't feel too bad when I was playing in the welcome playlist. And I think it's just a kind of a good way to give you a little bit of time to get used to the game. And I guess if you're kind of struggling a little bit, you should start to sort of be put in some slightly lower leveled lobbies to kind of help you while you're learning the game. But yeah, for me, I didn't think the welcome playlist was too bad. I thought it was a cool idea, and the game has definitely been more difficult on my side since I've got out of it. Obviously, in the normal unranked playlist, skill-based matchmaking is not there, which is obviously an incredible positive. I am going to do a completely separate video touching on that and going in a little bit more into depth about that. But yeah, I think it's a positive, and definitely so far I feel like it's reflected in my games. It doesn't mean I do well every game. There's still some incredibly good players, but I think overall, on average, the lobbies are definitely a much better mix, and I've definitely been finding it a lot more enjoyable in this first 2-week period than I do in the first 2 weeks of a Call of Duty releasing, because the first sort of couple of months really of CODs these days are just absolute sweatfest. So yeah, I definitely think you can notice that skill-based matchmaking is not there, but yeah, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be playing good players. But like I say, we'll be touching on this in a separate video in much more detail. There's a lot of maps in the game. They're very vibrant maps. I think most of the maps are very good as well. I haven't really played a map that I don't like. Have I played every map in the game? Not 100% sure. I say that Attica Heights, I hate it. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but if I'm spawning in on Attica Heights, I'm going negative. I don't know what it is about that map. I just can't get things together. But yeah, generally there's a lot of maps, and they're very, very decent in my opinion. So that's obviously a real positive. I think the game feels very good. I think a lot of people, like I said earlier, this is where I think the comparisons to Call of Duty are unfair, because the movement in XDefiant is completely different. It's like nothing else I've really played with before. I think with the lack of aim assist as well, it really takes you back to the older days of Call of Duty. But I think we've been spoiled so much, especially with the sort of tack sprint, slide cancelling meta that we've had multiple times in the last 3 or 4 years. The games, whether you like that movement in Call of Duty, it does flow really well and it does feel really fluent. So when you go to a game like XDefiant, of course, it's going to feel really, really weird, but I don't think that's a downside, right? I think it's unfair to say that the movement in XDefiant is bad. I just think it's different, and it's something that you have to try and adapt to, and even to this day, I'm still trying to adapt to it. But the players that are adapting and making the most of like the strafing and the change in direction in midair, like there are some demons on this game. But yeah, I think the movement's good, and I think it's nice to have something a little bit different, right? If every game just feels the same, it gets a little bit boring in the end. The game's very vibrant as well. I feel like it's very colourful. I've touched on this in the past. I think sometimes having vibrant games, it really has got an arcade feel to it, and I think that really is always a bonus. Input-based matchmaking is really cool. So if you're on controller, you can play against controller players. The same for mouse and keyboard. They can play against just mouse and keyboard. I think that's a cool thing that they've got in the game. You can actually map vote as well, which is actually I think really decent. I know it sounds silly, but it's always nice to be able to choose your maps. And I actually quite like all the factions. You know, obviously all the characters, they have different kind of abilities and specialists. That's a huge thing that I'm having to adapt to, and I do have to admit, I feel like some of the abilities and specialists in the game are a little bit cheesy, but I think just coming from a Call of Duty background, I'm just not used to playing against things like that. So I'm not saying necessarily it's a bad thing. I think it's just adapting, you know, knowing how to counter it as well. It's knowing how to counter the certain specialists and abilities that people have. But yeah, I think it's cool having the factions in there. It adds another element to the game, you know, really makes you kind of choose what your character is and what you kind of want to be able to do in the game. And then you kind of work towards that. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, definitely something new for me and something that I'm definitely still getting used to. But I think it's, again, it's unfair to look at something like abilities and specialists and say, you know, it's terrible. I do agree that some of them are a little bit cheesy, but I think it's just kind of adapting to it. So I'm now going to move on to the things that I don't like, or maybe things not so much that I hate, just things that I think possibly need looking at. So the first one's health regeneration. So health regeneration, in my opinion, is way too slow. The TTK in this game is already very slow. It does take a lot more bullets to kill people, which of course adds a skill gap. But then you add in the fact that there's a less aim assist as well. You know, it's already quite difficult to kill people. And then when you it's very rare that you get a gunfight where the other player doesn't at least land some damage on you. And it just takes so long to regen. If you run into anybody else, or if you get team shot, you die very quickly in this game. So I just think increasing that health regen might just help a little bit. I think it would still be difficult in gunfights against more than one player. But yeah, the health regen just way too slow in my opinion. I know a lot of people talk about the netcode and the desync. It's not been too bad for me. There has been a few times where I've died around corners. It's definitely given me some back in the day Call of Duty vibes where you think you're safe and you're not. But I don't think it's been bad enough to ruin the game for me. I have seen some videos online. I know some people suffering more than others, so I guess that probably comes down to your own experiences, but I'm sure this is something that they're going to work on over time, and I think it's one of the things that can only get better, right? I would like to think. So yeah, I wanted to mention it. It's not been too much of an issue for me, but I think it's definitely something they need to look at. So the hit reg though, the hit reg actually feels fairly good in the game. You know, you do, like I said, sometimes get that feeling of sometimes wondering where your bullets are going. There have been a few occasions where I feel comfortable that I'm shooting the other player, but they're just not taking any damage. There's been a few weird ones like that, but like I say, again, a little bit like the netcode thing. Overall, I don't think it's been too bad for me, but again, hopefully it's something that they just look at. So obviously there's no kill streaks in the game, so I'm not saying this is an incredible negative, and I'm not saying that they should add kill streaks in. You know, I think initially when I first started playing the game, I was like, there's no streaks, you know, what am I kind of working towards, right? And I think just coming from a Call of Duty background, that's just my initial opinion. That was how I felt. But I think over time, with the abilities and the specialists and stuff, I don't really know if kill streaks would benefit XDefiant at all. I think, you know, it might be more of a kind of a negative. And I think a lot of people do move on this game. People do play the OBJ a lot because it helps you towards your specialists. And yeah, I just think in general, you know, I think streaks probably should stay out of the game, but it'll be interesting to see how they kind of approach this moving forward. I know they did say, I think a while ago, they don't really want to add them in, but there are going to be more factions and more characters being added, so hopefully they go down that route instead. I believe there is going to be a prestige system being added. Obviously at the moment there isn't one. I think that would definitely be something that would, you know, encourage people to grind. I know at the moment a lot of people are grinding weapon levels and just weapons and trying to unlock camos, but I think prestige is an original prestige system would definitely give people something else to kind of grind towards. And while we're on the kind of topic of XP, I think the XP is not great at the moment. I mean, I know they're running a lot of double weapon XP or double XP weekends, sorry, and when they do that, you do level up quite quick, and the guns do level up quite fast, but without double XP it does seem quite slow, specifically on the weapon side. I appreciate they don't want people to kind of complete the game like within the first 2 weeks, right? But I think that's something that over time might need to be looked at, because I think for your average player, if you're not able to play on double XP weekends, you know, it's going to take you forever to grind some of those guns up to I think level 100 is the maximum. Footsteps, they're not overly loud in this game, but you can sound whore. I mean, it depends. If you're on the map by yourself and you're not surrounded by too many players, you can hear other people. I think it's hearing my own footsteps again that frustrates me the most. I just don't. Sometimes it's just really confusing. I hate hearing myself run around. It's the same on Call of Duty. So yeah, maybe something around footsteps would be nice. I'm not saying have them silent, but yeah, they're just a little bit strange at the moment, and I think just hearing my own footsteps just kind of bugs me. Another thing that I've struggled with is coming out of melee. I don't know if anyone else has had this. I feel like when I melee someone, like if I then like hit them once and then I try to hip fire, it just takes so long that I pretty much 100% of the time I just lose the gunfight. Like somebody just is able to shoot me before I can get out of the melee. It's really, really weird. You know, normally like on COD, you can hit someone and then, you know, sort of hip fire instantly and get the kill while they're weak. But yeah, that's something I've been struggling with. I mean, I am known on this channel playing COD to hit my melee button by accident all of the time. Like, I'm really bad for it, but I feel like I have suffered quite a bit on XDefiant where, you know, I just can't hip fire for whatever reason. So hopefully that's something they look at. I think another thing, there's this sound it makes in Hardpoint when you're on the hill, which is really annoying. Like, if you're on the hill playing OBJ, you've just got this sound in your headset, and it's so off-putting when you're trying to look to see where people are pushing you from. You know, you're trying to concentrate on what's happening in the game. So I think it'd be nice to have that taken out. I don't think we necessarily need a noise. I think people know when they're in the hill, right? I don't think you need a sound to kind of tell you you're in the hard point, right? I'd like to see that taken out. I think as well, snipers, they do need flinch. I think this is something that is going to get added in. I think the developers have said it's not quite working at the moment how they'd liked it to. Are snipers overpowered? In my opinion, they're not, right? I mean, I'm not a big sniper, and it's not like I've picked up snipers in this game and I'm just unbelievable at it, right? I think one of the biggest things is dying to snipers will always be a very frustrating thing in any FPS game, because you literally die in one bullet. It just feels horrible. And I think the big thing is when you come up against a sniper who's really good, like sometimes you just feel like there's nothing you can do. But I generally don't feel like the snipers are overpowered. I was playing the other day against someone who was incredible, and I did feel at times like I couldn't do anything. I think specifically with the high TTK, you know, you put so many bullets into them and they still snipe you. I think once it adds flinching, it will add that extra skill to sniping. There's still going to be some absolute demons, but for me, I don't think it's incredibly overpowered. I just think that the flinch needs to be looked at. So overall, guys, I've been having a lot of fun with XDefiant, and I think the fact that the game is free to play, it's definitely worth giving it a go. I think one thing I would keep into consideration is don't expect to jump over from Call of Duty and just pick this game up straight away. Like, of course, there are some similarities, but XDefiant plays completely different, and like I say, with the less aim assist and the higher TTK and all the specialists and abilities and stuff, it does take some time, and even now I'm still kind of adapting to it. But I would definitely say give this game a go. Like I say, it's free to play, nothing to lose really. Of course, there are going to be some people that don't like it. That's fine, right? Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And I'll be really interested to see what the longevity of this game looks like, because at the moment I'm not too sure. I know they're going to be adding a lot of things into the game, like game modes, more factions, more weapons, hopefully a prestige system. So I think the game's got a positive future ahead of it, but it will be really interesting to see how it goes over time. So very quickly, guys, before we clear this video up, I know I said I was going to be looking to do some more XDefiant content. Basically, I had some gameplays for you that I was going to upload, but as much as I've been enjoying the game, when I edited the videos, I just didn't get the same satisfaction from the gameplays themselves. So I think what I'm going to be doing next XDefiant is doing something slightly different, where I'm just going to be doing some more relaxed videos, not just going purposely for gameplays. But it's probably going to be a week or so before I get any of those up, because I want to try and use this double XP weekend to level as many of my guns up to a decent level, so I can then start to push some videos out there and just try something a little bit different. You know, we're still going to have the same sort of Call of Duty content going on where we're dropping gameplays, but I think with XDefiant, I want to try something a little bit different, so I thought I'd get this video up for you today. Hopefully another one on skill-based matchmaking in the not too distant future, and then we will start to roll some XDefiant gameplays and bits and pieces out at some point. But yeah, guys, if you have found today's video, please do hit the like button down below, and if you have been playing XDefiant, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, and if there's anything you agreed with or disagreed with what I said. As always, if you are brand new around here and want to find your way back for more, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, guys, I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.